Okay, we should be getting started here soon. We'll just wait 1 second here. Where is Andrew? We are live though on YouTube. So we're just gonna, you and I will get a little bit of head start here, Dean, while our colleague Andrew makes his way. I know there have been some issues with the internet as of late. I think we're all experiencing that. So let's get started this morning. Hey, there he is. It's okay. All right. Welcome everybody once again to the KoreSummit Webinar Series 2021. My name is Oscar Joffrey. Thank you so much. We're running 1 minute behind. I do apologize for that. And as you know, our webinars are, well, they're not meant to be structured, right? So no presentations. We're here to have our great chit chat, fireside chit chat, coffee, tea, Coca-Cola, whichever the refreshment our panelists are going to have today. And we're going to have a great discussion. So before we get started on our discussion today, I would like to introduce you to our panelists. And we've obviously, we're trying to mix it up a bit. And Dean, please take a moment and introduce yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Oscar. I'm the co-founder and CEO of a company called Forward Progress. We're an agency based in Chicago, and we've been around for about 17 years, focused mostly in capital markets, banking, capital raise, all those fun areas, which is why I think we're here today with you guys. And we also have a platform called Social Jack at socialjack.com. And that focuses on education. So it's high value based education for people that just want to learn. And as we develop things, we put them out so that others can learn and collaborate with us. So we're very collaborative. But that's the short version, and I'll let you take it from there.
Perfect. Andrew, goes without saying.
Hello, everyone. Again, I'm Andrew Korn. E5A is the company. We are a systematic data-driven investor acquisition firm. Our name is E5A Integrated Marketing, so marketing is a word in our name, but we are very, very goal-oriented in all of our work and look for quantitative measures for success.
Wow, all these fancy words. You guys got me buzzing. You know, it's 11:30 in the morning.
I'll try to dumb it down for you, Oscar.
Yes, please.
What's
1 + 1 = 3
for those of us here in the Midwest?
Oh, that's good. I got a good mix here of everyone. All right. So today we're gonna have a discussion, regarding an impact a video can have on a funding, and in particular now with online investing is on the rise, how impactful a video can become. And I think it's best to bring both of you, because as you both indicated, you're data driven, and because that becomes hopefully the trigger for everybody to say, okay, it does matter. So so one of the things I want to kind of go over with you, each of you personally, because each of you provide different ways of looking at the market from an investor acquisition. And so I'm going to go to you, Dean, first. And obviously, there are certain things that you guys do that are very unique to your firm from the perspective that I've had. How does the video play out with what you're working on and in relationship to the capital raising of a company?
Well, one of the interesting things about this is is I started off when social media was brand new, if people remember back that far. Um, I started off and I had a reputation management company at the time that I built and sold in the early days. When we were all trying to figure out what social media was, and it was about creating a positive digital footprint for professionals and for brands to activate and collaborate together. And we are really big on what we call humanizing the brand. So activating the leaders in the organization and the networks around that organization. And I think video is just a natural way for people to meet you. I mean, look, we're doing a webinar right now. So we're creating video, right? So it's a way for us to build trust and really build what we like to call digital thought leadership. So it's one of those things where I think if people have a chance or an opportunity to get to know, build a relationship with, and trust the owners or the leadership of an organization and the collaborative, connected other parties that are connected to that organization, it then just helps accelerate it so much faster. Now on our side, we do probably way more live broadcast like this, or live cast video, webcast video. As you know, Oscar, we've done over 5,000 webcasts, and that turns into video content. But it's all really to educate folks, to build trust, and to really just get people to feel good about the investment. And but I just want to I want to give Andrew some time at this too. But I think this is important for people to really take in and understand that doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be super expensive, for people to get to know you and trust you through video of some sort. So I think you're on mute, Oscar.
Oh, I bet you liked that, didn't you? Huh? You put me on mute while we were talking.
I did.
Saw my lips moving.
But now that I know I have that power,
yeah. Well, you got the power, right? I see what you're doing from Chicago. I hear about you guys. I watched Untouchables last night. So
good. There you go. So you know how we.
There you go. Oh yeah, I'm right there.
Hey Andrew, where are you located?
I'm in a much calmer city. I'm in Greenwich Village in the heart of Manhattan right now.
I love it. Oh, I've usually spend at least half a dozen trips there a year. I love that area.
And I travel to Chicago quite a bit as well. It's a great town.
We definitely have to connect up for sure.
Oh, you guys will. So one of the things that you brought up, which it's interesting. You didn't emphasize that it has to be costly or anything like that, because we bring in different perspectives in video. And what you said was, didn't matter what you put in, but it has to come out with trust. And that's interesting that you apply that video can create a level of trust between you and those looking to invest in your company, which I found very fascinating. That was, I hadn't heard that before. So Andrew, obviously you're working with a number of companies yourself. Obviously video plays a major role. Given what Dean has indicated, how does that fit in with the entire scope of everything else that you do?
Yeah, so I'm going to actually answer it a bunch of different ways, and I do love the term trust. We talk a lot about authenticity and what it can bring, and videos, we view it two ways. If someone's raising $50 million or 75 through Reg A plus, then there is from my perspective, a different expectation of video than someone who's raising $1 million to $5 million in a CF. And, if someone produces a extremely slick video in a $1 million CF, that might be considered inauthentic and maybe a little bit of overkill. And then add COVID into the mix. And we've seen a lot of videos shot just like this, someone on their laptop, and then they're giving it to someone to edit and maybe add some graphics. And I've seen them where they are hokey and horrible, but I've seen them where they're hokey and authentic and fun and real. And it really comes down to, thought leadership is one perspective but trust, I think, is a common theme between us. For us, it's all about getting that aha moment, that storytelling of, now I get what these guys are about, I get it. And now they can look at a few numbers and make an investment decision, as opposed to they need to hear way more about the story. And Dean has already touched on some of the other ways that you can use video, like in social. We take that thumbnail of the video and we put it into outbound emails, we put it into advertising, we take video clips and we put them on the corporate site, and we might even put them in a news release, but we're definitely going to use them in social and Facebook advertising and things like that. So video, when done well, has enormous legs and can turn into this component way beyond what that original piece was meant, was intended for, when it's well planned. And then I'm going to blabber on about one more thing is, we rarely shoot where we're shooting one. If you're doing a Reg A plus and the company's on the move, they may be raising their price part of the way through. Well, you don't want to go back and shoot, so you need to plan and make sure you're shooting both parts of that. You may want a 3-minute version for the corporate site, but I would never do something so long on an offering page. So again, it's about planning and shooting what you need to create the versions that you want.
And here's a dumb question does the type of video impact because you're talking about the length, so there are different lengths, and will that well, yeah, okay, so let's talk about that, because like everybody else, a video is a video, but it's not. Clearly there are types of videos just to get you in, and there are those who tell the story. So how do you strategize that? So nobody's just looking at one video, they're looking at several videos. Is that
right.
what I'm hearing?
So are you trying to say that size matters here?
I didn't say it, but I welcome the conversation.
So yeah, we recommend most videos be certainly under 90 seconds. That said, we recently produced a 3-minute video for a Reg A Plus client, and the entire thing is animation with a professional narrator. So the CEO and none of the team members are on that video, which is really unusual for us. But they are a multifaceted company and wrapped around an opportunity zone. So all these different components need to be touched upon, even if they're not fully explained. And in these days of COVID, we decided that animation was the way to go, and to do it all at once. We thought about breaking it into 3 1-minute videos and having them on the offering page, boom, 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 and letting people watch. We are prepared to switch to that as we test. So we'll see what happens. But when I watch it, I'm not bored. And of course, I've seen the video 100 times. So, and was one of the editors on the script. So we'll see what happens. But definitely length is really important. Sometimes we'll do something for 20 seconds if we can get the story in. A lot of great writers will say, yeah, had you given me more time to write it, it would have been even shorter. And because we can get that message across and get that emotional hook, that's what we think works best.
Interesting. And Dean, from your perspective, because you guys do the webinars, webinars like ours go for an hour. Now you got to get that.
Well, that's yeah. So yeah, and I agree. I agree with a lot of stuff that Andrew just said too. So I think it depends at what. I think there's 2 factors. It depends on the audience, like the type of audience that you have and the tolerance. So some of our deals play really well into B2B scenarios and family offices, et cetera. And some are more to the general public, like on a, more of like a Reg CF or a mass marketing, where somebody already knows the industry and they don't have to maybe be educated as much. So, we find that, we have the 90-second ones, the 2-minute ones, but we really like to, because we're heavy on the education side, we like to get people to to sit through 2 hours, and we find that a huge success. So I know it sounds odd, but the one that the one that we're doing with S2A Modular is a 2-hour plus video, and we've had 140,000 people register, and 70% of them have watched it, which blows me away. Like if you were to ask me before we did that exercise a year and a half ago, that's what we were going to do, I would have fought you tooth and nail. I would have go, there's no way, because I've done webinars and usually, and we chop them up into chapters, and a lot of people watch the replays and the chapters and things like that. But it's just interesting that it fascinates me, you know, and I like what Andrew said, we'll see what happens, because marketing is testing all day. It's like, you don't know, you can say that these length of videos are good, these length of videos are bad, but until you test. And I think one thing that's important is and it's almost like, you know, the other thing is people are like, you know, can you predict, you know, we want a viral video. Well, you can't just make a viral video. So with our 2-hour video,
What? You can't just make a viral.
well, yeah, you could think you are, but you know, you better make a bunch of them and test a bunch of them. But the you know, the funny thing is, if you would have told me, hey, that 2-hour webinar is going to go, you know, going to have a 20% virality factor, I'd go, you're crazy. And I've been in this since the 80s, you know, not to date myself, but I've been around marketing for a while. And I'm just like, when we started doing this and playing this, and it caught, and, you know, we chop it up, and, you know, we call it snackable content. There's other terms for it, but we'll take and chop it up and use those pieces to tease people out with the 90-second or the 2-minute, or we'll do YouTube leader videos and things like that. And that helps draw people to the table, but it blows me away how many people stick. In fact, when they get into the bigger investor meetings, in this case, the minimum to get in is 150K, and they have to be accredited. So this is a Reg D example I'm talking about. But the fact is, a lot of our Reg A's are wanting to get bigger checkbooks to the table. They don't want to just get the $300 minimums, the $1,000 minimums. They want to get those minimums up. And I think if someone's going to really invest and put a significant amount of money in, they need some meat on the bone, you know? So I think those videos up front always have to lead to a bigger story. They always have to lead to a bigger piece. And I think if they can get enticed up front and get to that substance on the back, I think that's something that should be considered as part of the plan. So I don't know if that helped you, Oscar, but I'm really trying.
It actually, well, no, again, guys, this is why it's important. I mean, look, we all have perception of video. People go, oh yeah, get those guys for $99. I can get a video, tell the story. But that's not the case. We're already talking about different types of messages. You talked about trust. You're talking about what if you're doing webinar, how does that fit in? And then Andrew wants to talk about sizing. And
authenticity.
But, you know,
I liked, authenticity.
Component of it. And
I'm trying to use smaller words for Oscar, though.
Thank you. Muchas gracias, señor. Con mi corazón para todos ustedes. Gracias. So, but I think it's important for those listening in that the way a video, the story, or what approach you're going to take, it needs to fit into the overall scheme, and it needs to be multifaceted. I believe that any video that's being created for any offering, Reg D, Reg A, or Reg CF, shouldn't just be used for capital raising, because if that's the case, right, that's the wrong messaging. Am I right on that?
Absolutely. In fact, I saw a similar message on Andrew's website, but we say we don't just raise capital, we generate revenue. And Andrew, I think you guys are cut of the same cloth. It's like, why waste all that effort and great storytelling and everything just to get people to invest, when you could go that extra inch and collect 1,000, 10,000, 20,000 customers along the way. So, you know, not everyone's going to invest, not everyone's going to be a customer, but if you can align your audience to be drawn into the storytelling and gain some trust with you in the process, you're going to get both. Your referrals are going to go through the roof on both sides. So I say do both.
Yeah, so we're not going to have a major philosophical difference here. We will have different approaches, though. So, you know, we came out of, I'm a former equity portfolio manager and ETF designer, and have done a lot of education work, a lot of marketing to institutions and the consultants that support them, family offices, where I managed a lot of money, some endowments. and of course, financial advisors. And,
Right.
you know, for us, we've noticed on video content, people are crapping out earlier and earlier and earlier, that advisors have a shorter attention span now than they did at the beginning of the pandemic, although still longer than pre-pandemic. And we do a lot of primary research on advisors. But for us, you know, we also are looking for more than the minimum investment. The whole thing comes down to what's the median, because depending upon the product, service, and company, the issuer, who do you want and why? I mean, the main reason to do a CF or a Reg A is to have a lot of investors. You know, people don't do it to get 6 investors or 10 investors. But that said, to us, that's really more of a data play than it is a length of the video play. If we're only inviting, like we have a database of approaching 1 million accredited investors, and we bring them into Reg A's, we don't say we're expecting you to put in more money. We treat them like everyone else. They just have the ability to write a larger check.
Right.
So, you know, we start off a lot with who we inviting in and why. And so, you know, that is a slightly different perspective on the video. And then, you know, we just think that people are impatient, and even if they have nothing else to do other than look at your offering at this moment in time because they're still trapped at home, they still will get distracted easily. And that's one of the reasons we look for brevity in the videos. You know, can we say it faster and still have the same effect? But keep in mind that qualifier and still have the same effect. You know, it all comes down to storytelling, and video is a great way to do it. As wonderful as our designers are, they can't replicate what happens in a video, you know, in still images on a website, or even with simple animations on a website.
So can I ask you, guys, so, you know, for our company, I've always struggled with which method is better, the animation, because then it lives longer versus human being, which then you have to keep changing the tone and all that. What is your thoughts on that? I mean, trust with the animation is kind of hard to do. I get that, but would you try 2 different styles? Would you try an animated video along with that, or is it just when you go with a theme, you flow with it in this particular case?
Yeah, we don't use as much animation, you know, so I know, you know, I don't know, Andrew, you might be able to speak better to that. We're more of the human element videos than a lot of animation.
Oh, so yeah, so we do straight animated. We do hybrids where it's people and animation. And this actually is a really easy one for me to answer, because it's all about the issuer and the story and what's the best way to get it across. And I'm actually confident Dean's team would say the same thing of, oh, the only way to show this future state of where the company's going to be is through animation, because it doesn't exist yet. So, you know, it's all a matter of what is the story to be told, what's the way to get it so people are going to understand it. The harder part is saying, gee, I'm someone who's never heard of this company before. What's going to make it so that I get who they are, not just what they do? So yeah, we can explain what they do pretty quickly. Do I get who they are and where they're going, and get that emotional tie, that trust, that authenticity, that understanding these are really smart people who are on a mission to accomplish something. So there's definitely that ping that needs to happen, and video is very good at that. We refer to it as that aha moment. And, you know, again, I think video is really good at doing that. Now it's a question of, is it a location shoot? Is it a studio shoot? Is it animation? Is it B-roll? We have put together entire videos for Reg A Plus made exclusively from broadcast news clips.
Same.
That's the entire video. And yeah, the CEO was definitely interviewed in a few of those, but no narration whatsoever. We did add a little music track, but the entire story could be told just by putting those press clippings together in the right order and at the right staccato or lengthy pace to let that tell the story. Third
Wow.
person telling it. So it's, we didn't have to shoot anything for that. That was just 3 days in an editing room. And again, we did a 6 or 7 minute version. Why not let the whole company see it? We did a 3-minute version for those who would want to see it on the offering page. And we did about a 80-second version, which was our main video above the fold when you first got to the page. So, there's all different ways of telling the story. The question is, who is the issuer and what do we want to get across? And then figure out from there. There is no one size fits all. There is no pat answer to that.
Yeah, and to piggyback off that, I think one of the big things is I joked about it earlier, but you know what? You have to test and see what works with that audience that you're tapping into. I mean, like I said, I would have lost the bet, and I've been doing videos since dial-up, or broadcast since dial-up, and I was like, if you would have told me that we would have raised close to $100 million off of a 2-hour video, live webinar, I would have said you're crazy. So, but it's just funny how you just don't know until you test,
So, but how many, okay, so that's a good point. We're talking about different types of videos and all that, and then there's no way of knowing which one will work. How do you test that quickly enough? Because producing a video isn't always, you can do one really cheap, but obviously you want to put your best foot forward. How do you, this is the question for any entrepreneur, is probably scratching their head, wondering, okay, which video is the right one for me? How do you quantify that answer for them, Andrew?
Yeah.
So, what is expensive is shooting. What's expensive is planning so that the shoot works for multiple scenarios. What's not expensive is editing. So once you have all the right components, then you're basically putting it together. The mantra of my firm is test, measure, refine, optimize. So one of the things you do is you see how many visitors click play and watch the video. How many of them complete? How much more time do they spend on the page after they complete? How much deeper are they going? We usually have something downloadable besides the video on the page. Are they going to that which has a deeper story in it and may have more numbers in it? So it depends upon the offering. So we have a little advantage, which actually Dean has a similar advantage. We've been around the block. E5A started marketing investment products, and we still do. About half of our business is in retail ETFs, mutual funds, hedge funds, real estate. So, we have an awful lot of data, not only for targeting, but also what people consume, how they consume it, and why. The one thing is that changes. And that changes sometimes seasonally. It changes with the mood of the country. There are a lot of things that make that change, so that one needs to be able to interpret that and then go and refine and optimize properly. But from an expense standpoint, once you have all those components together, editing is not that expensive.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. I think there was another point earlier I just want to bring back to the surface too, that I think is super relevant, is when companies especially are going from either Reg D or Reg CF, whatever their journey is, and they tap into a Reg A plus. That's an active story. That's an active, evolving story. There's a whole evolution there. And I think some of the most important things you can do is take people with you on the ride. And I think video and the storytelling of the video, where you can tease some of those updates on the front end. And then especially if you have a decent audience built up by that point, and you can tease them on the front end to that inner circle to outer circle thing, I think you have a way to keep them engaged. And we've seen a lot of people come back around, and maybe they didn't invest the first time around, but they've brought people in and invested the second time around. So if you're in it for the long haul, and if you're driving, and you're evolving, I think it's important to not just shoot video and then go run the company, I think you should always have a plan to continue to shoot video and use that as a method of communication along the way. So I heard Andrew, I just think that's so important for people to hear.
Sorry, guys. I felt that I was talking, but none of you were listening to me. And now I know why, because you guys
I was
were
reading
muting
your
me.
lips. You
No,
were
you guys
spot
are.
on.
No. It's okay. It's okay. You guys were in your own little world, talking about the impact of the
Oscar,
videos
welcome
and all
back.
that. So, but if you guys had to make your, we're talking about 90 seconds. We're talking about 3 different videos, which again, this is an interesting component to this discussion, because obviously, a lot of people probably gone, oh, I got some videos already made up on what our company does and our product does. We're ready to go here, slap it on, and it's a pretty lipstick and boom. But that's not what we're saying here. What we're really talking about is a particular message that needs to come out. So, Andrew, from your perspective, what are the key messages that you think need to be? You said 90 seconds, right? So 90 seconds doesn't seem like a lot, but in a video, it is a lot. So what are the key messages now that need to be in that video, that if they're there, it at least gives the company an opportunity to be successful? I mean, it can't be just the visual, but messaging. Let's talk about that now.
Well, so I can't agree with you on that, because sometimes visuals are the entire story. It depends what it is. It depends who the issuer is and what they're trying to get across and why. I was on a call last night with an issuer who's got some extremely high-tech jewelry. And there, people are going to understand what it does. How good it looks is really what they're, and how functional it is what they're selling. So a lot of it is based on earrings and some other wearables. So to have an attractive person modeling that and showing how well it works and the way they interact with it, that may be enough. We are doing one now where it's a medical device, and we have really poorly shot testimonial videos, because they're shot by the recovered patient themselves,
Right.
who are so enthusiastic about doing this, and cutting those together, no narration, a little bit of music, a couple of titles that we put in. That's all that's needed, because if you don't get the story from those testimonials, I don't get it. I actually have gone in and invested, so which is really unusual, because usually there's a different arrangement with us and an issuer. But after we finished that testimonial video, bam, I was ready to put money in, because I know how this thing works, even though it's in its earlier stages. We also didn't cover, there's a whole industry out there doing these explainer videos where someone's there with a pencil trying to explain the company. So what are the components? I have to come back and say, who's the issuer? We already know who the audience is. If we're doing a CF or an A+, we're talking about a primarily retail audience. But let's get more specific. We look at, gee, I boasted before, we've got this huge database of known angel investors, all accredited. Well, that's good, but now this is a medical device I was just talking about. Now we have a database of everyone in that specialty, but not just the doctors, the nurses, the technicians, because you don't have to be accredited to invest. Well, what about patients and caregivers? And what's going to resonate with them, which may be very different than with that group of people who are used to investing in private companies? So answering your question, unfortunately, there's not a simple answer to that. Because again, what is the purpose, and what do we want people to think, feel, and do when that video is done? That's the big question, is think, feel, and do.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
that's a big deal. So one of the other things to piggyback off of that is I think Andrew, I'm sure you guys do this, but we do a pretty big assessment up front of what they have in inventory, what they have, even if it's not video. images, graphics, those testimonials, audio, maybe they did a podcast or whatever. There's all kinds of things that can be, with the right creativity, that can be mashed up for proper use. So I think it's important that whoever's listening to this, that you do some of the work up front yourself and go dig the best things that you've ever had that have created the company to this moment, and share those with the agency that's helping you. I mean, it's all what drives me crazy is we do this whole assessment and this intake, and then you get halfway down the path and there's like some really real gems that nobody spoke about that were like, even have a proven track record. And I'm like, come on, let's share this. We asked all these questions and thought we had all these items, and then all of a sudden it's like, pay attention. This is your company too. It's not, we're in this together. It's a partnership. So you have to take some personal responsibility as the entrepreneur for your own successes in this too. So be active, participate, and make sure that if you have somebody that's guiding you through the process, do the work that they're asking you to do. So I don't know if that sounds too strict, but Andrew, I can't tell you the number of times.
I'm totally with you there. We ask for, one of the first things we do is we send Dropbox link and we say, make folders. We want all of your visual ingredients because we can make a killer video out of stills with animation. And we did one where there was a stuffed bear involved, and we photographed the bear, and eventually we put the bear on an animation stand and we twirled the bear. So there's a spinning bear, there's the spinning bear anyway, we had lots of fun with this. And it comes down to, what do you have to work with and what can you work with? But that's where, again, animation may come into play, because there's very little to work with. And frankly, if it's just stills of the three of us, or 3 photographs here, we can work with that too, because we can do animation that's not of something drawn, but of actual photographs. And you see it all the time. You just don't think of it as animation. So
yeah, that's good call.
So, but as I listen to the both of you, I'm thinking out loud. Like it be candid. I'm not sure if I know which video I want. I know I'm a little bit more confused than I was before. So does we say it doesn't really matter. It could be something still and all that. But does the amount of dollars you attach to the video, the budget you assign, because you're right, we see some advertising for $99 explainer video to all the way up to 50. Does that make the difference? The magic mark of the dollar amount you're going to spend, it's going to give you the 3 points that you mentioned there, Andrew, where that emotional attachment, that it's going to get them to to do something, which would be come to the site or click the invest button.
Think, feel, do.
Yeah, think, feel, do. Will it do that? The dollar amount you spend on the video?
Dean, I'd love for you to handle that one.
Hell no. It has nothing to do with the money. It has nothing. No, don't get hung up on the amount. Just like I said, we've raised a ton of money off of, we had this one instance where the founder of the company wrote this amazing letter that we found, that he wrote from the heart why he started the company, the emotion that we captured in there. I said, I just want you to articulate this into a camera. I said, I want you to not read it, but I want you to articulate what you said in this letter to the camera. And they raised a ton of dough. We didn't spend tens of thousands of dollars on that video. It was a few paragraphs from the heart. So again, did we know it was going to work? No, but we felt good about it. And we felt like we had seen enough things where the story was purpose driven, and it really got to that human part where they could connect from the outside in. And it didn't cost tens of thousands of dollars to do that. So again, there's no magic answer here. And, I know there's a bunch of people that sell kits and processes and stuff like that, but I'm sorry, it doesn't work like that. It might be a good start if you don't have a budget and you need to spend $150 to create 3 videos, but I think you should go after it. If you're doing a Reg A Plus, that means you're investing money yourself into the company to do a Reg A plus. Well, part of that should be not just marketing, but video marketing.
No, I agree. It is, you're right. I mean, when there's something authentic and within the company where when you dig it up and you can utilize it, it becomes invaluable, right? Not every company has that though, right? So we have to duplicate, you can't duplicate that authentication. You can't bring that history. Some CEO can't go back, oh, I might as well start writing stuff now and one day and I'll backdate it. No, it's not like backdating options.
Yeah, it's, keep in mind, so things need to be tightly scripted. Why? Because it's got to go through compliance before you shoot. You want to go through compliance after you shoot? Well, that's a way to spend an awful lot of money unnecessarily. So, the whole world wants to know what the lawyers think or what some Series 24 guy thinks before you go. So you can be really smart about scripting and storyboarding and having a really good idea of what you're doing and running it by compliance. You're still going to have to put the final video by compliance as well.
Right.
And of course, no one ever wants to talk about money with me because, our reputation of being the most expensive, but we're not necessarily. The one thing we don't put in a quote is video. Now, we talk about the video, we mention the video, but all we budget for is scripting and a one-day edit. Why? Because until we know what we're going to do, which is until after we've onboarded the client, can we put together a budget. And then I think we're really good at being extremely prudent in spending our clients' money. So we just did a shoot in LA. They paid the shooter directly. They paid the director directly. And of course, they had to suffer through myself and another one of my team looking through the lens on Zoom because the technology's there to do it and all the versions we needed to shoot. So, there's a lot of ways of doing things to make sure that you were being super efficient and getting the most for your money. But there is no correct budget for a CF or an A+. There can't be one. It needs to be what's going to work best.
And I'd say, Andrew, it's, I think I think the term expensive or whatever is relevant. Like I said, they're spending a lot of money. It's just a shift of funds. It's a shift of priorities. If everybody believes that that's the right thing to do. And I mean, at the end of the day, you and I are data driven. We're behind the results that it generates. So in doing so, if we're raising 50 million and we all agree that this is the best pathway to 50 million and you have to shoot a $10,000 video or $10,000 videos, that's what you have to do. I mean, that's what we all believe is the right path. So I want people to hear that too. It's like sometimes, it just drives me crazy when people will spend silly money on silly things, but they won't spend important money on important things. So just take that.
I think we all have that issue, but that's it. No, look, I bring it up because you're right. What number do you put? You don't know whether it's this type of video or that. And some people say, well, if I put a lot of money on it, definitely I'm going to get the maximum out of it. Or it's going to give me the results that I need. Some will swear up and down that the video, the more money you put into it, the more exposure you will get. And so obviously for the audience, anybody who's doing crowdfunding, whether you're raising 100,000, a million, 5, 10, 75 million, 100 million, whatever the dollar amount is, the key element shouldn't be, maybe what I'm recapping from you guys, it shouldn't be about the dollar amount. Is as you all say, it has to have those 3 points to it. And if it gets those 3, if it costs you $1,000 to get to those 3 based on your current story, then that's what it is. But if it costs you 10 times that, that's what it is. That's what you wanted to get out of it.
And we've seen $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 videos for Reg A Plus, and I every single time have said, gee, we could have done the same communication, not the same job, but the same communication for way less than half that.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
There are some numbers where, and we hear them, and I think it is, since we're Chicago, New York, I think it's more of a West Coast phenomena, where the budgets are much bigger for things like video. And I worked on Viacom's IPO, so I'm dating myself. We've been involved with, MTV, Nickelodeon, tons and tons of broadcast. You just need to spend the appropriate amount of money.
Appropriate. I love that. Write that down, Oscar. Appropriate amount of money.
Because and when you hear someone spending 110, there's something wrong with that.
Especially out of the gate.
Yeah, it's just not appropriate. If you've
But you guys
raised
have heard
20
this.
and you need to raise another 20 and you're running into a wall, I would test 20 other things before I spent another 50 grand on another video.
Love it. Yeah. Well said.
Yeah, no, and it's just, I know what everybody's going through right now. I mean, we, like you, everybody's asking questions. They go, all this cost and all that to get the storytelling. The one thing that I do want to say that does happen with these videos is that it's not just to sell investors. I think you said it best there. And Dean, when you said it's also to sell customers. So it's a dual functioning marketing that you would have spent anyway to get new clients. So why it is interesting how people, when they think of the video, they're thinking, well, I got to go out and sell it. So we're raising money and we're doing this. No, that's not what you want. That's the TSXV version of the of all that. That's not you. And that's where, we've been, I often see people in all of this is that there's this convoluted of so much information about video and the role that it plays. And we all talk about it. It's got a priority, but then when people get into it, they get so many different mixed messaging to it. And because of it, that they may make a mistake the first time or may not. So, but it's interesting to hear both you guys' view. You both came to some very interesting conclusions together, which was interesting. The trust, the authentication element, and those are, and if you can get that in a visual, wow, in a video storytelling, that is a game changer when you're trying to get your message across to the audience. So let me ask you both one question. I mean, forget your firms for a moment, but obviously, as you get approached by entrepreneurs, what is the one thing? So keep in mind, they don't have a budget for this. So what are you going to advise them on to before they start? Because if they're going to shop around, not forget shop around, they're going to start getting all the ads like all of us are getting. What are you going to tell them how they should approach the video? What should it do for them? And then two, what are the questions they should be asking of a provider who's going to do that for them? So when they get the final product, they go, you know what, I got what I needed. It just didn't work, but at least I got exactly what I needed. I'll start with you, Dean.
Yeah, I'd say, and again, you said limited budget, and, I hate to start there, but I would say, if they had to start somewhere, get the founder's story told, and remember and I don't like putting things into siloed boxes, and I think Andrew will agree with this. The video is one thing. If you see something working in a video or something working in a blog post or something working in an interview or anywhere, that's a signal. So you should have that as an integrated part of your marketing, not just trap something good in a video. It should work across the board in many different ways. So not just, I know this is a video segment, but don't just like throw all your chips into video or throw all your chips into this or that. You need to be integrated and put this throughout, because you might have a killer email list and all of a sudden you've siloed them away from something good that's happening over here. So tell the founder's story and do integrated marketing, man. Let everything work together, not separately.
Andrew, your point.
Yeah, so I'm going to agree with Dean on this. I mean, when people hire our firm, they're hiring a process. They're not hiring an individual or a design attitude or a creative team or a data-driven approach. It's an overall orchestration of a process. So when a message works, we like to amplify that. And there's a lot of ways of doing that. We work really closely with the PR team. Sometimes they hate us for it. Sometimes they love us for it, but we're all over it. And, very frankly, we have 3 different clients now where our entrepreneurs are all trained engineers, and none of them are prepared to be on camera and do a great job. Their awkwardness may come across as authentic and work like a charm, or it may blow up and not work at all. And we can give it a shot, but we need to have a plan B for that. We have a male CEO selling into a female market. Now, all the people around him are female, and it's great. And he is more catalyst than he is driver in many respects. But is he the appropriate person to have on the video? So there are so many things that need to go into the decisions of what needs to be done. I would say my advice to entrepreneurs is to go in with an open mind and again, look for what's going to be effective. And to Dean's point, I'm just going to reiterate one of the first things I said is, if the video is good, we're going to use it in email. We're going to use it in ads. We're going to use a clip of it in Facebook. We're going to do little clips for social media and force them on the PR firm. We're going to, do all different things with it and truly integrate it. So, if you're testing and measuring and refining what you're doing and optimizing, video is one component. It can be an outsized component, especially if it's working well. But it is one component that needs to be orchestrated with everything else.
Okay, and that's a good closing for us today. I think that kind of gives everybody an overview. I believe, it's like anything else. This is just one of those discussion points that it's got so many variances until we have more evidence. And you started touching on that before both of you did A/B testing, or which one will work, which one won't. I'm hoping that over time we will have that information as to what works better for this type of company versus another, so people can make better decisions when they're getting their videos done. I feel for a lot of companies, when we hear from them, I bought a video, the guy thought he could do it, and then what I get, nobody understood it. You know what I mean? It didn't resonate with anyone, right?
So I would say if you hire Dean's company, that you should listen to Dean and his team, because they are your advocates and they're trying to come up with the best solution for you. Just like if you hire my firm, you should listen to me and my team, because we are digging in deep. It ends up being personal and emotional for the team working on it. And, no one's trying to give you bad advice. So when there's an entrepreneur with a great idea, we love that, and would love to run with it. If there's an entrepreneur with a bad idea, we're going to tell them so. So,
Be honest.
There you go.
The hard knocks of honesty. I like that. All right, everyone. Thank you so much once again for coming out today. It was an interesting discussion. It took a little bit of a detour from where I thought it was going with it, but that's the thing about a topic. It doesn't always flow because it is based on opinion. I'm glad you guys aren't doing your ritual PowerPoint slides. I like more talking, because think about it. They'll call you on the telephone and ask you for your guidance and advice based on video. You're basically doing it here. And for those who came out today, all this information will be available at KoreSummit.io, of course. And we look forward. Hey, Maximus is saying, get a video. That's what you heard in the background. All right, everyone. Have a great week. We'll talk to you.